the pure cold isn't working as we'd hoped. So we're more leaning into signal based. Outbound only works if you have such a big problem or such a big urgency within the people you're targeting that they would respond. We've had events where we already booked 15 to 20 ICP meetings before the event even started.
Today, I'm very excited to have Ludovic, the co-founder of Driven. Ludovic, it's a pleasure to have you on. Maybe to start us off, please tell us a bit about yourself and tell us about Driven.
Great. So yes, I'm more of the sales co-founder of Driven. So we have three co-founders. Two of them are technical and building the product, and I'm trying to get feedback and sell the product. So that's kind of our role distribution. We're a small team of 6 right now, so still very much in a startup vibe. But in today's days, you don't really need anything else, I would say, than just a small hyper-focused team. And yeah, we've been around for 1 to 2 years now. We did a fundraising last summer, and we are attacking the sales compensation market. So anything that has to do with compensating your sales team, but also motivating them, looking at their performance, making sure that they're motivated and working well towards the unified goal, comes together in our platform connected to your internal CRM, finance systems, whatever is needed. And we do this in a very agentic way. So you can connect, talk to our system, adjust everything with prompts, not with clicks. And yeah, that's kind of our product and where we're going.
Great. Tell us about the gap that you saw in the market. What drove you to start this business?
Yeah, so we talked to more than 200 finance, RevOps, and go-to-market professionals about everything that had to do with motivating people, salespeople, but not only salespeople. We started off with more looking into employee stock option plans, seeing like where was a hassle there. Then went on to more remuneration as a whole and ended up in sales compensation as being a very interesting market that had quite some new incumbent players, but more like 5 years ago when everything was very SaaS focused, and we saw that none of these players were actually using AI to really leverage their system, leverage the data that they have, and leverage the speed that they can go to. So our entire market is focused on bigger players, focusing on enterprise customers. You have to book 3 demo calls, go to a technical thing, have an implementation of, like, some of our competitors say at least 2-3 months, and in reality it can take up to 6 months to just implement the software, which we find is crazy. So we actually have an agent that you talk to and just does it for you in a few hours. If you have 2 or 200 sales, it's all done by our agent instead of you having to hire consultants to pay them $200 an hour to just click on buttons.
I think that trend that you mentioned there is quite common across the market, where 5-6 years ago it was very SaaS dominated, and now there's a lot of players coming with more AI focus and really driving this forward. Tell us about what the gap is compared to those old players versus what you can do. What's the additional functionality and benefit and ROI that your software and your tools can bring compared to that older stack?
Yeah, so we try to operate more like a half a coworker that works next to you, so you can just chat with it and get information. Also implement plans, so the whole implementation part is automated, and then the whole analysis part is also something that we offer. So you automate a process, you get the data in, and then you optimize it. So we will do all of that for you without you needing the consultants. So it's that ROI, not only in the time being saved, but also in the fact that we will tell you when a sales rep is going to, hoard deals because they just reached their quota. So they're stopping to sell because they know they're not going to be motivated, or they just hit that 50% and then they stop selling, and then they wait until their next threshold, or they push it to the next quarter. So those are trends we actively send back to the administrator, the CFO, the CRO, and tell them, if you adjust this in your comp plan, you might have this impact on your sales organization. So it's not only the automation part, it's also mainly focused on the performance part, really showing you the insights that we can see through the behavior of how your comp plan is actually driving revenue within your company. So that's something we're going to add. Difference between the competitors is they do this in a manual way, or they just don't do this. So they would like automate a spreadsheet, and that's their whole value proposition. They are trying to catch up, but I can see some competitors have actually launched separate like softwares or separate logins, separate websites for their AI native solution, which shows they cannot integrate this in their product. They aren't built AI first from the start. So we are, while always keeping in mind that we're not a vibe coded product. We have deterministic models. So we know exactly, because we're touching on compensation, we know exactly how to fill it in. And you can backtrack any offering you do to your sales team. You can see exactly what percentage was paid. It's all ASC compliant. So you can do the listing. You can get bought or go public with the right compliancy frameworks within our software as well. So you got the perks of having your own setup, your agent that does things for you, and you have the security that also comes with the platform.
Amazing. I think the value you described there of this solution is quite powerful. Does this also help companies to come up with the strategy or the actual sales incentive structure? Because a lot of companies have different structures and they change it over time based on how salespeople game the system. So does the tool help companies figure out what the best structure is for businesses?
Yeah, exactly. So the thing is, there's no one comp plan for all companies. It's always hyper personal. That's why we're making an agent that has your data on your comp, and that will be trained on how your organization needs to evolve. So that's the difference. We can't give you an agent that will give you all the answers straightforward. We can analyze a comp plan and tell you, well, yeah, you missed these 3 basic rules, but then we'll mainly look at the actual data of their sales reps. We can actually see if they are hoarding deals. We can see if they are statistically doing things based on how your comp plan is. Might be for company A with the same comp plan as company B that their reps behave differently, then we'll have different recommendations for those companies. So it's very, very personalized because our agent can analyze this and because our agent has the data in a secure way.
Amazing. I want to talk a bit more now about the growth and the go-to-market side of things. So you mentioned you've been operating for a couple of years now. What was that process like from getting completely off the ground to getting your first customer, getting money in the door? What was that journey like?
So our journey was very much focused on like getting early traction, early design partners, believers, then getting funding, and then trying to go live with a product that we felt was strong enough. And so along that journey, you have a lot of ups and downs and ups and downs. And we had quite good interest from the start from the markets, interested in our products. Then we started building it, and we were thinking that we could build it in a few months. And then we started realizing, all right, this isn't such an easy product to crack. It's not, there's so many different ways to come people. You have to make sure everything is working in the right way. You have to make sure your agent doesn't do things wrongly. And so we kind of worked very, very hard on the product to have a solid base. And so that took a bit longer than expected, but also we're able to fundraise in the meantime. We're able to increase the capacity of the team. And so then afterwards we had the design partners, we had the like proof of concepts that we were starting to run out. And so we improved the product with their feedback. And now starting this year, we're really much in the scaling phase. So we had our design partners, they used the product, those trials all converted into paying customers. They're happy. We have the business cases to go to the market with. And that's what this year is all about, to really go from a startup to really finding product market fit and scale. So the journey was like a lot of other founders, starting off, getting interest, thinking your product will be shipped in a few months, having to really come back together, stop selling. So I actually had to stop selling for a few months because we just saw that the product wasn't there yet and we were selling something that wasn't built. And so we went back, built it up again, also did a refactor, which was basically rebuilding the entire product again. And then we're able to scale way faster after we really focused on the product for a few months. And now we're back to scaling.
Makes sense. And what's your goals then for the next year or so? Where do you want to get to now that you're focused on the growth side of things?
Yeah, so we want to go from 6 to 7 figures. And we are really looking mainly to get, I call it like repeatable sales metrics. So right now it's still a very founder-led growth trajectory. And I want to make sure that we can scale either our marketing efforts or our team efforts so that we know if we put X amount in sales or marketing, we can grow by X amount, or product and find another motion. Right now, it's not yet scientific enough to then go fundraise and make sure your metrics are good. So that's really the goal, to get a scalable motion in place.
What are you focusing on right now to help with that growth? What channels are you exploring? What tactics and strategies are you finding success with?
Yeah, so we tried the usuals. We do a lot of outbound initiatives by email, cold calling, which is not working well right now. We are doing LinkedIn messages, which is quite okay. We are also checking into partnerships, but not that much yet. So that's one of the channels we are slowly getting into. And then we go a lot to events. So that's a big channel for us. We also have network as a channel, which means your investors, people around you, or your customers talking to other companies. So which you could call it word of mouth, but we kind of push it. So we ask introductions to our customers or people who knows some people. That works. Then communities is also one that we push. Advertising, so Google ads, Meta ads, LinkedIn ads, the whole thing. So I think I just summed up 10 different channels, which shows we're kind of testing out everything. If I have to name one that's working best right now, it's going to events. So that's the one we are doubling down to, which is also the hardest one to scale to really certain amounts. So that's why we're putting a lot of efforts as well into marketing right now, with mainly trying to capture a lot of the market that is already there and to be seen as a player. If you are looking for an ICM tool, a sales compensation tool, that you book a demo with us as well, so we get in the deal flow. That's going to be the main goal for this year, to be in every deal.
I love to hear that you're trying every single channel, or you're experimenting across a lot of things. What would you say you've learned when it comes to go to market and outreach and outbound and trying to win business that way? What are some of the things you've learned in terms of what works, what doesn't work? How have you changed your approach over time?
Yeah, I think copy market fit is very important. Finding the right phrases that channel something within your audience so that they do get interested. We haven't found it yet, which is why we are just trying different angles, but you have to keep on trying. And if you don't get enough replies, it's just your copy that's not good, or your problem that's not big enough at a certain moment with a certain audience. So yeah, what I've learned is that I think outbound only works if you have such a big problem or such a big urgency within the people you're targeting that they would respond. I think there's also a whole other like signal based or more warm kind of outbound that you can do, which is people where you have clear signals, hires, or they went to your website, but for me that's not really cold outbound. A lot of people say that's cold outbound. They say I'm cold calling every day, but it's a list of people who all went to their website and filled in a form. For me, that's not cold calling. So right now for us, the pure cold isn't working as we'd hoped. So we're more leaning into signal based, which means a bit longer sales cycles. So we're not calling someone, getting them a meeting, closing it next month. It's not happening right now, but we are kind of accepting that our motion might be a bit longer, might be a bit more nurture based, but it's starting to pay off.
Nice. No, I'm not surprised. I think given you're quite focused on the enterprise market and it's a complex solution that you're solving for, that's probably quite embedded in a lot of people's processes. So it doesn't surprise me, but it's good to see that there's traction there. Did you find more success when it comes to targeting the like decision makers, or have you found more success actually going towards the champions and the users of the product and going that way? Has that been something that's been part of your thought process?
Yeah, we've tried both, and it's easier to get the attention of not a decision maker, but like more lower level in early terms. But we find that the probability that a deal closes like triples the moment the decision maker get into the call. So we try to go to the champion first and then do the demo and try to get them to add other people to the next call ASAP. That has been most of the motion right now.
Makes sense. AI is infiltrating every single element, and including go-to-market. Now there's a lot of tools and systems and strategies that people use to try and pull everything together. Of course, it's not as simple as that. There's not one tool that can do everything that you described there, but it's certainly, a lot of people are building things and looking there. But also part of what you're doing is kind of managing not just the outreach, but like when someone comes in, you have to nurture them and follow up with them. How are you leveraging AI or different tools in your go-to-market motions? So you said you'll focus on the go-to-market side of things. How are you leveraging AI within that specifically?
Yeah. We did an exercise where we mapped out our entire TAM. So that means any company that fits our ICP description. So what tech stack they use, how big is a company, do they have a commission plan or not, like all those factors. So we had about 20,000 companies that we wanted to target. So good list there, but also means that with that we can enrich contacts, and then we can start to really focus. So first start with list building. We used Clay. We used custom scraping things we built with Claude. The whole database lives in GitHub. So it's a GitHub repository. Connected to Claude, connected to Notion, connected to HubSpot, connected to Symble or Apollo. And so we have our database, we have our CRM, we can now easily look who we want to target, why or not. So that's the first step. Then we build lists. We use Instantly HeyReach to do some cold outbound, where they also send in specific messages, but like the hyper personalized emails that AI writes for you, we haven't done that. Again, I want to know what copy works. I don't want AI to try that for me. I wanted to find it out myself. But with this list and with the fact that Claude connects to all of our internal systems, what I did find that was very useful is, for example, for events, we go to the event, we get the app, and we start scraping the attendee list with Claude. So you ask Claude with Cowork to check every attendee. Don't use the word scrape, because he'll say, I'm not allowed to scrape. You have to gently ask him, can you give me a list of everyone who's going to the events? And then he'll start doing that. And then I just ask him, okay, now look at this list you just had with, 3,000 people going to the event, and my ICP list, cross-reference them. And then he said, all right, there's, for example, 100 companies you want to go to. And then we start outreaching to 100 of these people before the event even started. We use like networking within the app, try to get there. We add them on LinkedIn and we start sending messages. So we've had events where we already booked 15 to 20 ICP meetings before the event even started. And so, you're like, I can't imagine how many emails I have to send out cold to get 15, 20 meetings compared to what I just said for a certain event. So that's why, and that's how we use AI to really make sure that process is 100 times faster. And then the people we don't book for the event, we go to Lovable and we create like a team Lovable dashboard where we would see the faces of all the people we haven't had a meeting with yet. And the whole team can start going to the event and say, Amaan, I found you. Hi. And then just talk to you, have a little chat. And then you go to the Lovable app and you say, talk to Amaan, either booked a meeting or not, interested or not. And so the entire team can see we already chatted with Amaan. Just look for the next one. So that's how we use AI to really prepare for a good event.
Idea at the end is great. I've not heard that one before. That's a really, really good idea, actually. Quite cool. Amazing. I think your AI go-to-market stack is probably one of the most advanced in terms of how you're doing things. It looks like you've got a lot of things going for you in that side of things. So amazing. And thanks for sharing that information. Final couple of questions. What do you see as the biggest hurdle now when it comes to your growth and your go-to-market over the next year?
Good question. Biggest hurdle would be that it just takes too long to get in a deal, and that it's quite a competitive market, and the players that are there have already spent quite some money in like brand recognition, being in those communities, and that just a hurdle would be that the enterprise are not willing enough to work with a startup when they've been getting or seeing other players for 2, 3, 4 years going to their events, sponsoring their events, their LinkedIn, and just like not maybe choosing for the best product, but choosing for the company they know most. Could be one of our pitfalls. We'll see. Because I know our product is better. That's kind of I know our product is better, so we're not going to lose on product, but we might lose on size.
Amazing. Ludovic, I wanted to thank you for your time. It's been very insightful hearing about the business, but also what you're doing on the go-to-market side of things. I think, like I said, it's quite an impressive setup that you got there. So if any of our listeners are interested in finding out more about Driven and about what you guys do, where is the best place they can go to find you and connect with you?
Yeah, so anyone can connect with me on LinkedIn, Ludovic Diercxsens, not an easy last name, but I just do Ludovic Driven and you'll probably find me. If not, our website is www.driven.work, so easy to find as well. And then you'll see me at a lot of go-to-market, RevOps or SaaS events. So happy to meet up there. If you find me cross-referencing your ICP on the attendee list, I'll be happy to do a talk.
Great. Ludovic, thanks very much.
Thanks, Amaan. It was great.